Okay, I'm Ian McLintock from Charity Excellence. I am a man of meagre talents, but being Scottish, I have an ethnic inclination to get my hands on money and free stuff. And basically, that's what the system does. I am not a techie at all. My background, I've been a volunteer for 40 years. My background's in senior management. So this is not techie stuff. So what does Charity Excellence do? We support a year about 50,000 individuals, but the AI bunnies can actually support 120 people a minute, 24/7. We have 40,000 charities. I got bored with counting the numbers. I don't know how many dead accounts we have, but registered on the system are about 70,000. We don't bother about that stuff. We're now actually growing at 3,500 a month because our growth is accelerating even faster. And the stuff that really matters, our charities support 10 million beneficiaries. That's 15% of the UK population. Is that me trying to take credit? No, because all credit is down to you, because you're the people that deliver it. But ultimately, it's about you and your beneficiaries. So all the fancy stuff at sector levels, frankly, irrelevant. If it's not helping you impact your beneficiaries, and it's not worth doing. So that number is really important to us. We are a free one-stop shop, basically. It's one platform, 5 databases, 11 systems, all 11 support fundraising. It works for any non-profit, but we're optimized for the smalls, and we prioritize the people that we think get too often shoved to the back of the queue. Women's groups, the BAME community, LGBTIQ plus community, the disabled community, food banks, women's groups, that kind of thing. So the system comprises a main health check and a master resource base, 3 finder directories, a whole range of AI services, and the charity sector data store. What I'm going to do, just explain what they are, and then show you where you can find them and what to do. The links in this and in our infographic will give you absolutely everything you need to do whatever you want to do. So you just pick the bit, you click the link, and the system will explain to you how to do that. So this is the main health check. You're on the left, it's on the right. You only do 2 things. The first time you log in, you're taken to your My Profile page. The system does not have any questionnaires or anything like that on it at all. You cannot compare a £5,000 animal charity in Surrey with a £10 million cancer charity in Northern Ireland. They are not the same. So what the system does is it builds health check questionnaires absolutely around your charity. So you have to tell the system all about you so it knows the best to help you. And all you do is you log in, there's a whole series of options, click everything that applies and nothing that doesn't, and hit save. That is all you have to do. And the system then knows what it can do to help you. And it will build 8 questionnaires. You can do all of them, in which case you get the quality mark, or you can just pick things: fundraising, communications, governance, whichever you like. You can score the entire system in 1 to 2 hours, according to the Lloyds Bank trial of it. And the people in the trial, 93% of them said they would recommend the system. So that's not bad. How do you score? I will actually show you that when you log in. It is very simple, and everything is in plain English. When you score it, it's dropped into the charity sector data store, which is a massive data store for the entire charity sector. Everything is anonymous. Your data is not shared with anyone, and I actually can't even access it. What the system does once you've scored it is it drops everything into your dashboard. Red, amber, or green. If it's red, it means there's loads of opportunities to do more. If it's green, it means, to be honest, there isn't a lot you've got to gain by that. There's also a query system. It'll let you answer questions like, how well do we look after well-being? Does our website work? Are we claiming our tax reliefs? Anything you like. When you click any result, it will display a report on screen in priority order. So you can see those areas that you're most likely to be able to achieve more. That's in the bottom right. And that connects you to all the resources and help. So once you've scored a questionnaire, you do not need to score it again. You can just get it through your dashboard. And up is a little resources card. Either it's downloads created by me, or it's links to external resources. I am a sad man. I have curated the planet. What we do is we tap into the collective expertise of the charity sector and we promote and connect people. So we have by far the biggest resource base in the entire charity sector, not because I have any particular talent, but because I'm simply tapping into that huge collective expertise. And it's global. If you want to know if you're biased against obese people, it will send you to Harvard University in the US for Project Implicit. Apparently, I'm not. So that's the main health check system. The 3 finder directories. Funding finder, I'm very basic, finds funding. Now, it is different. It is optimized for the small charities and the marginalized groups. And because you don't pay me anything, I don't need to keep you in mind. So what Funding Finder does is it looks for other grant directories across the planet, and it can connect you into an entire network of online funder lists and grant directories. It can reach, DSC is considered the gold standard. Funds Online is £400 a year for each grant directory. They can connect you to, they say, I think 5,000 or 6,000 funders. Funding Finder can connect you to 100,000 plus. I don't even count how many now. It taps in to everyone else. Help Finder finds help. It's got 20 search categories. I have got everything from period products to fundraising dialects. There is very little it can't find. The 2 things everybody goes mad for, and I will show you them, is I have come up with small charity corporate fundraising. The system will find companies for you to apply for donations, and then it'll help you apply for them. I think that's quite good. I've only got 274 records, but some of those companies have quite literally thousands of outlets. It plugs you into an entirely new funding network that most people don't know about. And raffle prizes. I've got chocolate, teddy bears, I've got spas, I've got all sorts of stuff. Data Finder is a meta tool. It finds data, funnily enough, and it goes looking for open source data portals. Finds data on 3 things. 1, things about the charity sector. 2, the sectors you work in, deprivation, education. And 3, fundraising and philanthropy. And you can pick the data level you want, from very simple through to fairly sophisticated. The biggest data record on it will connect you to 70,000 data sets globally. So that's the Finder directories. To access them, once you log in, there's a blue band at the top of the screen. There are 3 buttons. Press the button. To find out how to use them, they all run on a simple basis. They're much simpler than a grants directory you would find. They're all run in similar ways, and each one has a video link that will pop up on the screen when you log in. You just watch the video, you listen to me for 2 minutes, and you've got everything. So AI, I have AI bunny rabbits. The reason I have bunnies is we have extremely vulnerable people using them. I want to die. A man online wants me to take my clothes off. It's the kind of thing we get. I don't train them I used to train them every Saturday morning. I don't do it anymore. It was too depressing. Train them midweek. I needed 2 avatars. I was looking around the room for inspiration for something that'd be totally non-threatening, and the pair of them were fast asleep on the floor. That's why we've got bunny rabbits. So they will help you navigate the system. I need core funding. Where do I find the fundraising Dalek? How do I find hygiene products? All that kind of stuff. They will help you. They'll tell you where to go. They can't do it for you, but they will tell you where to go. They can also have Ask Me Anything. They've burrowed into the Charity Commission, Fundraising Regulator, HMRC and everything, and you can ask them. I've got about 20,000 questions they can now answer, and they can answer with 91% accuracy. If you need to know, and you're planning your fundraising events in Scotland in 2025, and you'd like to know the public holidays, if you ask an AI bunny rabbit, it will tell you. Charity facts and popular questions. If someone says to the bunny, how do I make a donation to a charity? That is not the kind of thing we want to go unanswered, so they will tell you how to do that. The website bunny, Mini-Me, if you're interested, supports individuals and families. It is completely anonymous. She will help them find personal funding and help, including abuse. So the child who was being groomed, they would have sent that child, him or her, to Childline. But they can also deal with things like revenge porn that people find very difficult to talk about. And they will connect individuals, help, food banks, warm banks, anything like that. And internally, we have a ChatGPT system. We have funding bid writing service, and we also have charity ChatGPT. So if you're not registered in GPT and you really don't like that stuff, you can chat to the bunny and the bunny will do it for you. So downloading funding lists and policies. The in-system bunny has cool sunglasses, as you can see. Yes, it is AI generated. We don't do that to bunnies. And it will go and find policies for you and download them on the screen. This is the data store. So I have 9 interactive dashboards. I can analyze it using 100 tags, 50 categories. I have 750,000 pieces of data. So when you hear them all shouting, we've got no data on the charity sector, that's complete rubbish. We used it in COVID. We tracked what was happening with you in real time. And then we built our emergency toolkits to support people in responding to the things that they were struggling with. The initial toolkits were downloaded 38,000 times. For the cost of living crisis, we created a predictive model using the COVID data. Transferring ownership, there isn't one charity excellence framework. There are actually 4. 3 organizations already have their own. We can give these away. And we are going to give these to lead charities like hospices, grant makers, Scotland, small charities, whatever. We don't have the capacity. Everything's done by me. So we're going to give them to other people. And AI predictive analytics. We predicted the path of the cost of living crisis for the charity sector through 2023 very accurately, and we predicted it back in 2022. It isn't actually as rocket science as people think. You can harness AI to the data set and turn it into something immensely powerful. That would be for the sector bodies. So that's where we're going. This is the cost of living crisis. On the left here, you can see COVID. This is real data that we tracked. This was the cost of living crisis, and the right of the line is the prediction. So where are we? And the answer is, yes, we're recovering, depending on the budget today, of course. But even by the end of the year, we will not be back up to where we were before. We see no substantial recovery in the sector until 2025, if then, and it depends really what happens with things like the election and what they do. And then AI concierge service. We've got 11 services. So we are now in the process of migrating everything to AI. And what you will do is the system, the databases, the website, everything will disappear and you will meet a bunny rabbit. And you simply tell the bunny rabbit what you want and the bunny rabbit will do it for you and then go and get it. And that's about people with disabilities, English being a second language, tech challenges, low educational attainment. They can get around that because at the moment, some people struggle, even with something like an AI bunny on the screen. The individuals, I'm talking to an ex-prisoner, he either had mental health or drug problems. He just could not use the system. He just wasn't able to. So we're going to move and we're going to do that. So what I will now do is take you around it. This is ChatGPT. You can see these are things I've done. There is very little on ChatGPT. It's all about talking to it. This is one of my new prompts. We're currently working. We know a lot of small groups that aren't registered or haven't been around for a long time can struggle to find funders specifically for them. And this prompt tells the system to go and find funders that do precisely that. So this is how ChatGPT works. It's a bit flaky, which is why we've built services to help people. This is an AI bunny. So when you chat to the bunnies, this is what you're actually talking to. It's called AI machine learning. So it's a different kind of AI to the one used for generative AI. But this is what an AI bunny looks like. So this is Charity Excellence Framework homepage. Right. First thing is, we celebrate the smalls. So when I built the new one, I binned all my imagery. I went out to the network and said, send me some good photos. Our small celebration is all of the imagery on the network is now our other people, because our traffic is sitting at about 600,000 visitors a year. So what we are doing is we're giving them a bit of a profile, and we also give them a shout out in the newsletter on social. So we go out and we promote the small charities who don't otherwise have that kind of reach. Now, you cannot download policies or funding lists from the website. You can't. What I have done is I've put quite a few where things are popular on the website because people want to access them fairly simply. How do you find things? Right, you can see the little search icon. You can search. So if you want raffle prizes, and you run a search, the company goes, here are raffle prizes, and it takes you to the system, and there's raffle prizes. So you can search using that. If you're old school, you can click the resource hub, and it will give you a linkable directory, and you just scroll down to the one you want, and you can click that. Or you can ask the AI bunny. Now, use short words and keep it simple. So if I go fundraising Dalek, I want to know what that is. You can see the thing he's moving. It's a female rabbit. Now, this is cramped. So if you click that, you get much bigger. And it says you need to register, then log in and search using Dalek in the keyword search word box in Help Finder, and then it will find it. If you want to see the original, it doesn't show you that. It will give you the full answer, and it will also give you hints of things you might be interested in. So if you went in and said, I've had it, I'm a single mum with a 3-month-old baby and no food, that's the kind of stuff we get coming through. The bunny will go, okay, I've got the Trussell Trust interactive map. You click through to this and drop your postcode in, and you'll be able to find a food bank. There is actually a second, completely different food network called iFan. That's different. Don't ask me why. What the bunny will do as a prompt is it will say, well, actually, I've got another interactive food network over here that might be useful to you. And because you need vouchers, it will actually have a link to the Citizens Advice Guidance on how you can get vouchers so you can claim something for your food bank. So it's trying to help you in as many ways as possible. Click that to clear it, and then you can just ask it another question. So that's effectively it. How do you get things from here? You will find every single page has a downloadable infographic. So there is the Charity Excellence infographic. Here is the AI Bunny bid writer. This explains to you exactly everything you need to know to use it. It gives you all the questions. It gives you all the tips. And at the bottom, you can download the bid writer template, which you will need, and I will show you that. So you can download these things from the system, and then you just help yourself. And that's basically what the website does. And along the top is Data Finder and Help Finder, and it will explain to you how to use them. If I log in, and what I will do is I will go in on something else. This is an example. Oops, somebody's doing something. Uh-oh. I hope the developers aren't in doing something. Right. So this
Ian,
is
do you want to use my login?
no. Okay,
Okay.
I think we're there. They're trying to do things, and when the developers come in, they sometimes knock mine out. So you arrive on your My Profile page, you literally go through and fill it in. We are a CIO. we've got that many staff, or we've got that many volunteers, the sectors we work in. So if I'm a young person's hospice, it's young people in hospice. If I'm an older person's hospice, it's older people in hospice and mental health because of dementia. And you just click. And once you click save, it will build questionnaires exactly for you. So you can't phone me up and say, I'm on question number 10, because I have got no idea what your question number 10 is. The system can build trillions of different frameworks. What it will do, income, governance, people, comms, finance, whatever you want to look at, you just click to start. It will give you a plain English description of what you should see in your charity. There is no environmental scanning or hierarchy of messages and stuff. It's all in plain English. So, achievement, to what extent do I see that in my charity? Nope, really not doing that. Oh yes, totally nailed all aspects. Yeah, we're okay at it. How important is it to you? No, actually, this doesn't really matter to me. Oh, wait a minute, it's funding. Yeah, this is really, really critical. And you're telling the system how important it is, so it knows how to treat it. If you've got something like a question about property and you don't have any, you simply click not applicable. And the system goes, I get that. I know not to worry about it in future. And then you click next. That is all you do, nothing more. Underneath it, you will see links to help. And these are people that will help you for free. These are my downloads. These are all of the funder lists. So how do I find funder lists and things? See the block capitals? Download grant making lists. It's telling you where they are. And these are all external. These are actually all my own ones. But 360 Giving, Sophie, it will connect you to things that are helpful to you. And then you click next. And quite literally, that is it. So here are the local grant making lists. What I have done, this is for the smalls. This is for you. I downloaded from the Charity Commission all their grant makers. I stripped out all the ones that are no good to you, like the PTAs. I also stripped out the rubbish that shouldn't have been in there in the first place. My God, there's plenty of it. And I took out all things like the private schools because they're raising funding for themselves. And you just click the button and it downloads. And these are all the funders in Surrey. They're often very small. These are the funders that other people don't know about. So that's how you access the downloads. Once you've completed it, it will take you to your dashboard. And here you are. These are your results, user. The sector is benchmarking, so you can see how you compare. These are the categories. So must do, you've told the system, we ain't doing this, and actually it's important. The system's going, well, if you're not doing it and it's important to you, I'm just going to flag it up for you. Don't do is, it's not really that important. And to be honest, we've nailed it. And so what the system's saying is, well, there's not much point putting any effort into this because you're not going to get anything back. The system is not grading you. This is not a quality management system. What it's reflecting back at you is what you told it. So it's helping you sort through, ask all the questions you need to, including the ones you didn't know about, and then helping you to understand what is important to you. You can't do everything. And so what we have here is governance. These are the various sections of the Charity Governance Code. If you're going, the bunny's getting in the way, click the button, he'll hop back down his burrow. These are your questionnaires, and this is my analytics, and these are running on, I can talk about soft systems methodologies. You would be very, very bored very quickly. Maximizing impact, the extent to which you're doing that, how effective your income is, short-term sustainability, longer term, are you getting money to your frontline services? Are you being legal? Safeguarding. How well do you keep your people safe? That is not just about your beneficiaries. That's also about your staff. It's about your donors. It's about racism, bullying, all that kind of thing. And you're going, well, that's interesting, but what am I going to do about that? Well, if you click any score, it runs the underlying report. And you can see how it's color-coded. So it's saying Down here, no point doing anything about that because you've got it nailed. Whereas up here, maybe you should. And here is all the help. And these are the people who can help you deal with these particular issues. The little I symbol, there are all the downloads. There is all the HSE stuff that you could possibly want. And so what it's done, it's run an audit of 39 entries. There are actually about 100, but this one's only been given 39. And if you want to, what you can also do with that is you can export an action plan. You click the export button, it'll download the report, and then you can just fill in the action plan, and you've got it, and you've got all the resources to help you do it. And that's what it's intended to do. You don't need any technical knowledge to score any of it. So if you go, I really don't get comms, but it underpins my fundraising. If you score the comms questionnaire, it will walk you through everything in a very structured manner. Oversight, core systems like policies and systems and CRMs, so they'll look at things like messaging and stakeholders. It'll then move into actual comms like websites, social media, posters, and then it'll finish with planning about how effectively that actually works. So by the time you get to the end of comms, you go, I kind of get this. I get how this works, and I get the kind of things. And then the system will analyze for you and tell you where you've got most opportunity to improve your communications. Do not follow this slavishly. You know what really matters in your charity. This is helping you sort everything out in your head to let you make the decisions. It's not trying to tell you what to do. So in the system, if you've got any questions at all, you'll find question marks throughout the entire system. So what is priority of action? What does red mean, etc., etc.? And you can get that absolutely anywhere. On any of the screens, you can get these. You can see there's a guide here. This one's out of date. I have to get it changed. I've made the video. You click that and the guide will walk you around the entire system. There are charity terms. This turns gobbledygook, gifts in kind, GDPR, governing document governance. It gives you a simple to understand explanation. So all those words that people use that you're going, I don't know what that means, the system will help you. This will take you to the facts page. Now, this is inside the system. The website is outside the system. So if you click the facts page, it's taking you back to the website. It will give you explanation on anything. To get back in, you just press the login button, and you're back in the system again. So you're in the system. Oh, what is that? Don't like the look of that. They're doing something to the coding. So inside the system on the website, login button will take you back and forth. So here is Funding Finder. There is the video. If you watch that, it'll explain it. So fundamentally, this is much, much simpler than the standard grants databases. They've got a huge range of selections, but we keep this simple. What people do we want? Well, look, disability, BAME, homeless, food banks, LGBTI+. These are the people that we think are important. So you get your own category. And I've created one for small charities and community groups. Either we only fund small charities, or we prioritize small charities, or I've looked at it and gone, yeah, that's a good one for you, and I've tagged it. So it goes and finds these for you. So we can search UK, and let's look at Surrey first. I've got all the English counties, and I've got some of the cities. So I've got things like London. So I've selected just for Surrey, please. And the system has given me 22 entries. So these are 22 funders who specifically say that they will fund in Surrey. Now that could be Southeast England. So I go, right, 22 is not very good. I would like you to add in people who fund England as well. And I've now got 436. Let's go large. I'll have the UK-wide funders while I'm at it. And I now have 604. So I go, well, okay, but what I actually want, I want core funding. Now watch what happens. 604 is now 698 because it's gone and got all of the funders for small charities and all of the funders for core funders, 698. But you go, but what about ones that fund small charities? So if I go all, watch what happens to the number. It goes down. It's 105. Those are grant makers that fund small charities and also do core funding. This is a much better target list for you. And you say, well, let's go large on that then. So what about if I add in the people I look after, which are young people, and what I've got are 36 entries. So these are grant makers that fund small charities with core funding for young people. So you've got a much, much tighter kind of focus. And there is the kind of thing that you probably recognize, people like the Seven Stars Foundation. So what I will do in here is I will put in core information, how much, when, where, who do you prioritize, just the kind of stuff you need to know whether it works for you or not, and a link to their website. And you can just click through to their website. So that's how it works. Sorry, out. Left on, pick them. And you can go around, you can have women's charities or whatever else. I update this every single week. I often get more new funders than the big databases, and I don't know why. Maybe I'm just sneaky. And I actually was kicked off the IDOCS database because apparently I'm not a small charity, although apparently the Charity Commission thinks I am. And IDOCS presumably don't know that I know that their staff are registered on Charity Excellence and using my funding database to find funding for their database. And given they're a multi-million-pound global company, I suppose that's a backhanded compliment. However, if you've gone and done your search and said, but what I really want is the latest, you can go in and say, give me whatever there was in the last 7 days, which is probably not a lot because I haven't done this week yet. Oh, I got 19. This could be worse. So these are 19 new organizations I've uploaded. Or if you haven't been in for a while, you can put more in, and then suddenly you've got 67. And if you then want to go in and sort that for Surrey or whatever, the system will do that. So you can just go in and you help yourself. Funders directories, quickly, we'll go and find, they're called funding finders, which is actually a bit of tautology. And in the UK, there are 438. These are either online funding lists where someone's done the hard work for you, or these are other funding databases. Surprising how many there are, isn't it? There are loads. I've got things like Rochdale. Rochdale Council has a web page. It's got 3 tiny little funders for community groups in Rochdale. I suspect that most people are not aware of it, but the system will go and find it. It will also go and do things like keyword search. So you could try, if I put in Aston Clinton, it will bring up one. If you want multi-year, so you ask it to go and have a look for multi-year. Ah, it's only got one. Why is that? Oh, it's Funding Finder. So there are 102 multi-year funders on there. Or you could put in knife crime, or you could put in your location. Right, Help Finder. Again, you get a video. It's got 20 search categories. It works in exactly the same way. So if I spell Surrey right, it would probably work better. How many have we got for Surrey? And I've got 31 entries. Alliance, Aviva, Bentley's, British Airways, Bupa. So I could expand that. I'll say, well, that's add in England. And I'll add in the UK. Now, it's important that you add in the bigger ones because some of these are big national companies. The reason this works and it's different, and I've got entry-wise 524 people that will give you free stuff, but you want money. So donations funding is money. You can't compete with the likes of cancer research for the Tesco annual partnership. But many very large companies make donations around their outlets, but only to local community groups. Some of those companies have thousands of outlets. Thousands. So if you're in youth, the entertainer gives 10% of its profits to charity. If you go to an entertainer shop in your local area and you say to her, I'm a youth charity, can I get some help with fundraising and stuff? They will talk to you. So this will find it. How do I do that? Well, what I will do is I will try and give you some guidance. Company X has 23 outlets, mainly in Southeast England. Its head office is Staines in Surrey. And you can go, oh, wait a minute, that's a good one for me. But what I will do with all of them is I will put an office locator into the system. You cut and paste it, and that will take you to Two Sisters. Send. And I could drop in my location. And actually, there is a Two Sisters food group in Hemel Hempstead, about 10 miles down the road. So that's how you can find all those things. Yeah, the other thing I like about this is because it's local, it means that you've got less competition. There are fewer people know about this. And often what they ask you for is, would you fill in the web form or would you send us an email? So you're not writing this great big bid. It's much simpler and quicker to apply. And a lot of them will do other things. They will do volunteers. They will do match funding. They will let you use their offices, boardrooms, and event spaces. They will make product donations. So you can get a lot. And it's a way for you to get your foot in the door with corporates. If you're looking for raffle prizes, donated products and equipment, yes, you get all sorts of stuff in here, but this is where you find the chocolate and the teddy bears and things. Data Finder does the same, but for data. You've got a keyword search, crime and justice, economy, finance, health and social care, charities and NGOs, and I want simple stuff, I want moderate, I want sophisticated, and it works globally, it works in Scotland, Wales, etc., etc., etc. And that will give you stuff for that. This is the bunny rabbit, this one is mini me. If you want to do the clever stuff, remember the sunglasses. So you click on him. You can ask him questions in exactly the same way as the other one. The only thing that you can't do with Mini Ding is you cannot ask for individual support. Individuals and families are website only. He does this instead. So you simply type your message in. If you want a policy, safeguarding. Everybody wants a safeguarding policy. You can say, I want safeguarding. He will hop off. He will use generative AI to summarize the content of the policy. Why does that matter? Well, if you ask for fundraising, fundraising isn't a policy. And so things can get a bit like this. So he'll summarize it for you and you can say, yeah, that's the one I want. There's the link. You click the link. And what you have is a safeguarding policy. And you just take my bits off and you can download it. There are about 40. If you're not sure what policy you want, Mini Ding will go and get you a list of policies. If you want to try using AI and you go, oh, I really don't know about this kind of stuff, you go in and click his AI one. You just make selections. I want it to be respectful. 12 fundraising ideas. Submit. Yes. And he's written a ChatGPT prompt just for you. You can see him working because the circles are moving. I warn you about ChatGPT. It's flaky. Sometimes he'll go to ChatGPT and it will just fall over and you'll lose it. That is why for the funding bids, you need to use the Word document. I think ChatGPT is probably too busy. No, it got there in the end. You can see sometimes it's really quick. It depends how many are on it. And he's given you a whole series of fundraising ideas. Anything else I want to add? No. You can email. Done. Thank you very much. So here is the funding bid. And what you do there are two things. Many people struggle writing the kind of prose that you need for a formal one, lots of little groups. And many people do not know how to write a funding bid or what should be in one. What the bunny does is has a conversation with you and asks you 17 questions. Those questions are everything you would need for a good funding bid. So you just answer it. What's your organization's name? Not rocket science. What kind of organization? Small registered charity, community group. What is your annual income? And you just keep, who do you support and where? And then you get to the end, you click submit. You can see the circles, he's talking. Now what he has done is he's written me a funding bid. The funding bid is actually incredibly short and complete nonsense. That's because I didn't give him any information. But he's still trying to help me. So if you put in 1-word, 3-word answers into his questions, he's got very little to work with. He will write you a funding bid, but it won't be everything it could be. So you want to get a sort of decent amount in there. On the website instructions, about 50 words is fine. You can cut and paste, but if you cut and paste very big amounts of text, ChatGPT will choke on it and it just won't work. And what you can see is you'll see the little buttons working and then they will just stop. At that point, you have lost everything you've put into the bunny because ChatGPT's got it and it's dumped it. And that's why the Word document matters. So you fill the Word document in and then you just do cut and paste. And if it doesn't quite work, it's fine. You've wasted 2 minutes. You can go back and do it again. Yeah. So regenerate text tells the bunny to go and do it all over again. So if you read it and you go, yeah, it's all right, but I could do better than that, you can tell the bunny to go back and do it all over again, and it will go back to ChatGPT, and you will get a slightly different result. Do not add any additional data. For example, oh, I forgot to put in the fabulous prize we were awarded by Surrey Council. You can go back and add that in, and the bunny will redo it with your prize in it. No, I don't. Email me a copy's not working at this moment. Done. And you're back where you started. And then you click away and the bunny disappears. If he's getting in the way, press the button and he's gone. And effectively, that is charity excellence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ian. Now you know why it is a whirlwind tour. There's a lot of information to take in, so I'm sure there's lots of questions. I don't see any in the chat yet, unless I've missed one. So what questions have we got for Ian? I'm going to ask one. Ian, the bid writer, I tried to use that. Now, what you just showed me was more of a sort of a letter, but would it, if you put a template in, would it actually?
No.
No, that's what I
Now,
thought.
you can put templates into ChatGPT. Now, you can't put your own in, but it has a templates option that allows you to select templates and it will run. It's a conversational thing. It struggles with things like tables a bit, but it is getting there and it will not be long before it can. But the bunny is kept deliberately simple because so many people struggle with the tech. We don't want to make it. So basically, as long as you can answer those questions, you can use the bid writing bunny. That's it. And what the bunny is actually doing is teaching you how to write funding bids. And the idea is that you've done it 2 or 3 times and you go, well, actually, I've done that. I've seen what's come out. I've got all my answers. I could actually go directly to ChatGPT and do it all myself, and I could actually do it better that way. And the answer is yeah, you could.
Yeah, I have used ChatGPT separately. I haven't put in a template though. Right, so not at the moment on Charity Excellence Framework, but that is something that may be further down the line. But it gives you the vocabulary, the content, the wording that you might choose, and you can play around with that. You could put it into an engaging way, an amusing way, etc.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the additional users key on the left-hand side, it's got additional users. You click that, you drop in the name and email of the person you want to add to the system, and it will be authorized and sent to them. Word of warning, some spam boxes drop it into the spam folder. They think they haven't got it. So if you've sent it and they haven't got it, look in your spam folder. It expires after 24 hours for security reasons, but you can always go back, click login, click forgot password. It will regenerate a new one for you. So it will do that automatically. So if I just very quickly show you that in case. So I am inside the system. I want to go back to the website. I click fax. I will log out. So if I log in and I've forgotten my password, or someone has, if you click forgot password, you drop your password in there, it will generate a new email, send it to you. You click the link in the email, you put in your new password, and you're sorted.
Okay, thank you, Ian. Now there's a question from Janice, which screen's just refreshed, so I've just temporarily lost it. 1 second. Where did it go? Here we are.
Yes, there is a deadline button. Not all funders have all of them. When I write it, I will try and give you some indication. If I can find it on the website, I might say there's annual funding rounds, or some of the good ones will say the funding rounds are 1 February, 1 May, 1 July, 1 September. I will write that in. If I've got a date, I will put the date into the system. And when you sort the deadlines, there's a button at the top of the display. If you click that, it will sort them in date order, and it will bring out the ones that are going to come up soon. What I've started doing is putting opening dates in there as well, because some people are coming out and saying, well, we're next going to open 1 June to 31st of June. So what I'm doing now is I will put 1 June in as a date. So when you do a sort, you'll just get alerted that something's going to open. I haven't got it for all of them. But I have got it for as many as I can sort of get in there.
Yes, thank you. And that was a question from Laura, and that is a frustration of mine because many funders don't publish their dates, and then suddenly you get this date and you've got a 2-week window to apply. If they could publish all of them could publish their funding rounds in advance, that would be good. Some do, some don't. And the most frustrating thing is they don't publish a lot of them on their website. So you spend, I could spend 10 minutes going through their website. Like, well, when does it close? When does it open? And you go,
and then they hide it.
they
They'll
hide it, and you go,
like,
all the questions and answers on the guidance. There's nothing about the date, so you don't know if the fund is open or closed, and that's
and the problem for a lot of the small charities is they don't know they do this, so they go in and they go, well, how much is it?
yeah, I know.
What's the
So
deadline, or who
basic
can apply?
information is never there.
So what I do when I create one is I try and put the key information you want into
That's
the
right.
text.
When's the funding open? When's it closing? Who can apply? What's the legal status? How much can I get? Exactly. So good. Now, look, Dennis has asked a question, and she's saying, can you log in with more than one user? She's noticed there is a facility to do that, but would you explain more about how that works?
It just gives them an email. Now they've got full access to your account. So you may, for example, want to put the chair of the board or the treasurer or whatever on, and the treasurer is going to score the finance one, and that's fine. And you can just share it that. Larger organizations, for example, they may have a volunteer who's researching raffle prizes or company donations or something, and you don't necessarily want them going in and doing things to your scoring. You can create a second account. You just call it something slightly different. So you could have, Surrey CVS has an account, but you could be Surrey CVS fundraising or Surrey CVS. One organization had an account for its trustees and an account for its staff, and they both scored it, and then they compared the results, and you could tell how they saw the organization differently. So it's up to you. And people say to me, is there a right way to use it? I'm on the autism spectrum. I always have a right way to do it. You should score the questionnaires once a year, and that will make sure you get the quality mark, and then you can show that you've found most opportunities. But what I say to people is, if it works for you, it's good. And if you say, well, actually, I just want to do the risk questionnaire, or we're coming up to do our next year's strategy, so I'm just going to score the strategy questionnaire or whatever. If it works for you, it's fine.
One of the questions I have, Ian, on the absence of not being any more in the chat, but please do ask questions. I don't want to hog the questioning. But one of the questions I have is that when I started to do the framework questionnaire, the excellence questionnaire, I thought, well, this isn't something I can just do as a part-time funding advisor. This is something really that I think the board should be doing together, or a team together. So I stopped doing it. So I would suggest that is something that, it's not a one person's view of the organization. I think it should be a board effort or something like that, or a senior team effort. But whenever I go back in, as I said to you, I get stuck on that. That's with mini me, isn't it? And then it always takes me back to that page, and then I get lost as to where I am. But what you're saying is, I need to log in, and if I go back to home, then I can go into Fund Finder or anything quite simply.
Yes, the login button is the door into the system for everything. So the login button on the home page will always take you back to the system. I mean, when you score it, it is much better to be scored by other people, because we've all got different approaches. Being a miserable Scot, I always take a very prudent approach. So if I scored it and you scored it, and we scored exactly the same thing, you would probably have a higher score than me, because you're not miserable like me. You can also get things where people have different experience. So if you give it to a volunteer person doing something, and they're trying to score governance, but they don't work as a trustee and they don't really understand it, they will probably not score it well. So it works much better if the treasurer scores the finance, the chair scores the governance, the manager or the chief exec scores the fundraising or whatever, but give it to the people who are best placed. Sorry, Bryony, I'm talking over you.
No, that's okay. I was just wondering, what do you consider a small charity?
Well, I was at the APPG last week, and they talked about some small charities. Some of them only have a few staff. And I was like, no, that's not quite how I see it. I define it for the funding purposes as income under $1 million.
Okay.
But that, in actual fact, is probably a third to a half of the charity sector. So nobody knows for sure, but I did a load of research on it. For me, a micro charity is under 10K. That is about a quarter of the entire charity sector. There are about 100,000 of them in the UK. And if you go to the top end, the cancer researchers, there's a couple of hundred, but they get 90% of the income. And something like 90% of charities are volunteer-led.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting at this table with NCVO and the Charity Commission and all that, and they're talking about small charities only having a few staff. And I'm like, no, I don't think you really understand. But the ones under 10K that aren't registered, the only people who've got data on them are us. Because they're not registered. But because you're on our system and you're scoring it, we can go in and say, this is what the small charities think and what they say. But there is no formal definition. Many will pick $1 million. I've done that because fair enough. But the vast majority of small charities are much smaller than that.
Thank you.
Are there other questions for Ian? How many of you have used this Charity Excellence Framework platform? Okay, so quite a few of you have used it. And can I ask, what have you mainly used it for? Laura, what have you used it for?
Well, I'm still working, actually, this is a question, because I'm still working my way through all the questionnaires. I think I've done 6 or something now. So they do take a bit of time, and they are useful, and I'm appreciating them. What I haven't done is check if I can use the fundraiser finder without having finished all the questionnaires.
No, the Finder directory standalone.
Yeah.
So you can use them. And there are actually people who will not score the questionnaires, who literally come in and just
I thought you couldn't download the policies and stuff until you registered.
No.
Oh, okay, fine. I misunderstood that then.
Right. This is how it worked. I originally built the system as what's known as a decision support system. That's what you're doing. It's giving you information that enables you to make better decisions. That's why it's not trying to tell you. And what I did is I built out the main information hub with all the downloads. You can only access the main information hub from the questionnaires because that's the structure of it. That's where it originally came from. So all my downloads for safeguarding and fundraising lists and everything, you have to score the questionnaires because
Yeah, that's what I thought.
there is no other way to get them. However, I then moved the policies across to the bunny, so you can actually go directly to the bunny for the policies and you can go directly into the Finder directories. And what I'm beginning to do is move everything across to AI. And the idea is, so you can come in now and say, give me an ethical fundraising policy. And the bunny goes, yeah, sure, there you go. But you have to score the income questionnaire to get to the fundraising ones, fundraising lists. So what will eventually happen is you'll come in and say, well, could I have the Surrey funding list, please? And the bunny will just go and get it for you. But I do everything, and there are vast amounts of things on the system. So bit by bit by bit, I'm bringing them across.
That's really helpful. Thanks.
So you're being confused because it's currently sort of stuck in the middle.
And this is where I've got confused, Ian, because I use it independently because I started the scoring and thought this isn't just for me to do. So I've only ever used it independently of the framework. But I do get confused, but because it always takes me back to the framework. But that's good. That's cleared that up. Thank you. Other questions, because we've got a few minutes left now. And I do think there's so much on this platform that you may well have other questions about how to use it, or questions about how the ChatGPT works with it, or
I was just going to say I came today because of the AI sort of scares me a bit. I've been using the framework for a couple of years now, but I haven't really played with the bunnies much, so it has been very helpful. And I'm the same. I do keep getting lost on the system. I keep having to, I end up on my dashboard looking at the questionnaires thinking, well, where's the list? And, so I'm really pleased to have been today and to know that there's actually a much better way of going around things. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Sandy. And one thing I said to Ian is, and I can canvass you quickly here, is that, Ian is running a lot of sessions on AI, which I attended as well. And I was wondering if you'd be interested on a dedicated AI session, how AI can be of use in the not-for-profit sector. I mean, maybe just put your hand up if you'd like that as another funding surgery. Yeah, good. I thought that might be the case. And we can discuss that separately, Ian. Sorry, did you want to have a response to what Sandy said, Ian?
Yeah, it grew organically. So the core system was audited, and I thought, well, there's no point you going, I need to do this, if you then can't do anything about it. And that's where the main resource hub came from. I thought, well, that's not very helpful. And so I started plugging resources in. So the advantage of the questionnaires is when you're on the questionnaire about safeguarding policy and what it should contain, it's got all of these links to useful things, some of which you may never have heard of. So for example, there is a safeguarding call line who will give you advice on DBSs and training and all sorts that most people have never heard of. But when you're scoring the safeguarding, it will come up in the help area going, there is this thing here. So what the system's doing when you score the questionnaires is it's making you aware of things it's got that might be helpful. When you go into the Finder directories, you have to put the criteria in. If you don't know it's got period products, you're not going to ask. The bunnies are different. They can do that. So if you're thinking of period products or Daleks or whatever, and you say to the bunny, do you have any period products? The bunny will say, you need to go to Help Finder and you need to run this query. And it will bring up people like Bloody Good Period. So, and the bunnies are also burrowing out externally. They're into OSCR, CCNI, housing, they're into everything. So the bunnies are actually looking at all the regulator and associated websites. And they're also looking at things like Charity Digital and Charity Comms. So if you say could you give me some good fundraising ideas? The bunny will not use generative AI. The in-system bunny can do that, but the bunny on the website will go and find lists of fundraising ideas for you. So the bunnies are actually way, they can do PAYE, tax, all sorts of stuff. But every time what I do is I design things that people tell me they need and want, and I kind of follow that. But every time I build something new, there's a little bit extra and it gets a bit more complicated. And now you're going, well, wait a minute, you've got a fundraising bunny over here and you've got a main information hub over here. What's that all about? And the answer is, yeah, I've kind of grown towards it. And what the aim is to pull it all in and have a single point, and you will simply drop in and go, I need period products for my hygiene bank. And the bunny goes, these are the people you need to talk to.
Okay, thank you very much, Ian. It's been a lot of information to take in. It's been very informative. I'm getting a lot of thank yous in the inbox. So I just want to quickly say I've just got to stop recording now.